That you learn something, even as we're delivering messaging to you. Most people would think, yeah, that's just good writing, man. Well, actually, there's a lot of work we do before we write to really understand what is the audience going to get from this. And if there's not enough, then we don't do it. Because we've got a brand that's worth a lot. Okay, this is the flip side of being a brand that's actually somewhat expected. Alright, last video, hardcore learning.
Hey, remember when gas lighting gave way to electricity as the future for lighting? Yeah, me neither. Because it was over 100 years ago. Well, times are changing again, and lighting is only part of the story. Hey guys, welcome. My name is Rob Boyd, and you're watching TechWise TV. You know, incandescent light bulbs still produce light the same way they did in the 1860s. A coil of wire inside this vacuum-tight glass enclosure agitates electrons through that coil by applying the proper voltage so that it gets white hot. So hot that it produces light. So the more resistance, the brighter the light. Well, Edison is credited with making the light bulb practical, but was often overlooked that moving from gas lights to electric lights, well, it required electricity. So this was a distribution challenge that Edison and his team took on as they designed all the components needed to get direct current to the light bulb. The sockets, the fuses, the switches, the power meters, the generators, the wiring. Well, the Edison Electric Illuminating Company, formed in 1882, brought electric lights to parts of New York by creating a network. Cables that were insulated with beeswax and paraffin run underneath the streets since problems came up. Horses were shot riding down wet streets. Workmen were electrocuted. Well, it was 43 years before electricity finally began to surpass gas as the lighting network of choice for the United States. And the light bulbs have finally started evolving from incandescent to fluorescent, of course, LEDs, but the infrastructure has remained the same. What's fascinating here is that it was actually not Edison's network that brought electricity to the masses.
So that goes on. Quite a while before we mention anything about networking, anything about our products, our services. We've hit into, this is watched a lot, and this entire program, TechWise TV, is watched a lot. This video gets a lot of views because we actually talk about a huge change that's happening in an industry that our customers care about. That's infrastructure. And it's happening right now, and it's a huge opportunity. But we wait. Learning first, earning after. Right? Deliver something unique to your customers that helps them, and you get permission to ask them to help you. Very, very simple model. I learn, therefore I buy. Okay? I'm going to finish up with, these are our webinars, and all I have to say about this is that for anybody, has anybody ever sat through a webinar? Any webinar from a company? Yeah? Did you watch it again? No, right? No, most people don't. Right? Most people don't. We're actually looking to change what we're doing with webinars so it just looks like that. All the slides, everything you want is in the video. And all you do is press a button, and then if you want to chat with somebody, ask questions, go ahead. We'll move the entire thing to a video experience so that we can continue to teach. People can learn through video. That's the reason I brought this up. The team would be upset if I didn't. Cisco takes this very, very seriously because outside of what I do, what my team does, we actually have a rather large investment in what's called the Cisco Networking Academy. We also have a very large certification program. There are over 2 million IT professionals who have been certified by Cisco globally. That's a lot of people to get certified through your company. And every year, we train about 1 million students, many of whom are younger than you. Mostly high school students. Training them on networking and IT. For free. It's called the Networking Academy. We do it because we believe that if they learn, they may buy. That's good enough. That's good enough for us. We just really want people to learn if we can make that possible. All right, the last piece. This is proprietary, so I have to scrub all the information, all the actual data, right? We don't have enough information yet. The study isn't complete. We don't have enough of the accounts that we're targeting covered. But we're looking at the correlation between media consumption and purchasing. Our media consumption and purchasing. Not our ads, our actual content. Then we're looking at the number of minutes that people are actually watching. If you're using our infrastructure to do it, we can actually tell how many of the minutes you're actually looking at the video, as opposed to just listening to it in the background. So that's also interesting. We're going to look at that. Does it make a difference if you're just listening or watching? But in a nutshell, if you've ever done research, if you've ever had to prove a hypothesis, this is extremely scary. This is downright terrifying. Because you should be really scared when your initial finding is that you were right. And that's what we're very, very afraid of. So we're going to continue looking at the data until we actually figure out if this is happening. If it is, you can expect we're not the only ones who are very interested in influencing buying behavior. Alright, well, here's the matrix that I started with, and I'll just close before Q&A by saying that most companies, brands, valuable brands, have moved into the media space. Today's presentation, and I hope it made you think about what companies can do to move into the knowledge space. Right? And Martha, I'm not looking to compete with Stanford. That's actually why the last block is left empty. Thank you. Let's keep it that way, right? But just think about the opportunity. Today, a lot of brands and companies are excited to be in the media business. What if we were in the knowledge business? What if we were creating and distributing knowledge to customers or to everyone? What does that opportunity look like?
Okay, welcome everyone. My pleasure to introduce today's seminar speaker, Sebastian Wederding. He has studied comparative literature and then did his PhD in communications in Hamburg. He has worked both in industry and also in academia. He's in academia since then. He's worked in interaction design, civic education, before then coming to the US, being professor here for a while, and then moved to the University of York recently, where he's now in the Digital Creativity Lab. He's a co-editor of Game for Worlds, and his work is very interesting because he's both practicing, like making games and studying them, but then also doing more philosophical, reflective work on what game culture is. And for example, he wrote one of the foundational papers on gamification, which is now cited well over 1,000 times. And so it's a pleasure to have him here to talk about this paper. So,
yeah, thanks for the kind introduction. Thanks everybody for coming, and thanks for inviting me. And in this weird situation where I'm a recovering humanities scholar, so I can't help be critical and overthink things, and at the same time I then get invited, like for instance, this one was triggered by actually a furniture company that came to me and said, "You do gamification, can you gamify office furniture?" And then I said, "Office furniture? Sure." And basically this is the result of me thinking to them, saying, sort of, yes, maybe, but no, with caveats. So, office playgrounds can we turn work environments, or can we turn spatial work environments, the practical environment of work, the social context of work, into something that's more playful? That's what I would like to talk about today. And basically, right at first sight, the office and play are definitely diametrically opposed things in our minds, right? There is as epitomized in Jacques Tati's wonderful movie Playtime, right? The office is sort of the archetype of the non-playful, gray, dull, rational, controlled antithesis of play, really. But over time there have been remarkable attempts to bridge the gap between the two, or to merge the two. Particularly here in the Valley, obviously, the 1990s, the first new economy where startups and digital agencies try to sort of come up with these new working worlds where you had obligatory football figures in all kinds of agency tables that try to make work playful. Today in the 2010s, we see sort of a resurgence of that again in the digital industries, which are now called playful or relaxed office environments. This year is the Google office with a pinball machine, in this case in Tel Aviv, and if in the 1990s the football table was obligatory, right now in those playful offices the slide is definitely the obligatory implement. So that's one trend that we see right now, people trying to make work more playful. The other trend, Ingmar already mentioned, is definitely gamification. So this idea that we can turn not just work spaces, but actually also work practices and processes into something that is more motivating, more engaging, learning from games like using Salesforce for customer relationship management and then adding things like points, badges, leaderboards, so basically rules and progress feedback. So the promise, you can say, underlying these is twofold. The promise is that on the one hand, you have these playful spatial environments that lead to things like creativity and collaboration and increased employee well-being, and then you have these gameful processes that lead to increased engagement and that lead to more optimal or efficient resource use in companies, like not overusing meeting rooms or meeting times, and all of that together leads to productivity, more productivity. And there's quite a bit of studies or hopefulness right now in the working world that this kind of thing might actually work. In a recent survey by New Chapter, a UK market research organization, 80% of the managers they interviewed believe that playful office environments can increase employee motivation. 91% believe that they can increase teamwork and collaboration. Gartner in 2011 already predicted that by 2014, 70% of the Global 2000 companies would have at least one gamified application. And if we compare that with the research that we have in education, in ecology, in psychology, we know that playing as an activity is actually something that has all kinds of beneficial effects that we might be interested in, right? We know it's highly engaging, it reduces stress and anxiety, it fosters trust and relatedness between workers, it fosters deep conceptual learning, that's why we have things like game-based learning or playful learning, it fosters creativity and problem solving, it satisfies basic psychological needs that we have, so it directly improves our well-being, and it makes us more autonomous actors, because in play we're acting autonomously. So if we learn to play by playing, we also learn to be more self-determinative actors, ideally. So that's sort of the big promise. The interesting question obviously becomes, how does all of that play out in reality? And I would argue that right now, the majority of these playful office spaces or gamified work processes are something of the kind of this thing, of Fisher-Price law for laboratories. And since I'm the godfather of a now 3-year-old godson of mine, I just see how every birthday when he's around, relatives descend upon the poor chap with tons and tons of these, and he basically just takes them out of the box and, hey, they're so beautiful and colorful and playful, and then he just bounces around in the box a bit until he finds the one button that is consistently engaging, because it's the one button that gets his mother upset, so he has that button as often as possible, so the mother takes it away. And I would say a lot of the playful office environments are sort of these Fisher-Price law laboratories. And I want to unpack that claim in two steps. First, talk about physical playgrounds and sort of the underlying theories for why people think they work. What is the problem with these theories? And then talking about the social playgrounds, the basically gamified work processes. So the first theory that you find when people try to explain why do we have things like playful office environments is what people in architecture call informal collision spaces, right? If you look at a contemporary office environment like this one, you see basically you have a bit of meeting room here and you have a bit of work environment here, but everything else basically, so empty spaces for people to do things, kitchen spaces, and then this wide open green space, again with a billiard table here and a football table, etc. So basically you find that about 60% of the total office space is given for these open free spaces that are not there for working actually. The theory behind these informal informal collision spaces is that if you give people a space to basically to mingle across departments, across disciplines, then you will have lots of unplanned collisions between people, and the actual problem solving and the actual innovation, having new ideas, comes from people from different fields bumping into each other, and thereby exchanging information outside of their daily routines. If you look into the history of this theory, right, why did people believe that this thing worked? It basically leads you back to World War II, to the MIT Building 20, which was a makeshift wooden shack that they put up during the wartime just to have enough people for all kinds of the technology development that was happening at the time. It was one of the most terrible buildings to live in ever. It was made out of wood, it had super loud floors, it was full of asbestos, it was leaking, it was raining through, it was damp, it was excruciatingly hot in the summer, freezingly cold in the winter. It was without natural light in many parts of the building, and yet this building was the home of the Model Railroad Club, so it's basically the home of hacking. It's the originating place of the company Rosa. It's the origin of Chomsky's transformational grammar. It's the origin of semiconductors, high-frequency cryptography, and tons of other incredibly important innovations. And people were wondering why. If it's such a crappy building, why did it produce this wealth of new ideas? And one explanation was because this building was so long stretched, and because they had a completely cryptic number system for the rooms, everybody repeatedly just got lost. Nobody found their offices. And as a result of that, on those long floors, people would regularly bounce into each other, and thereby sort of say, hey, here's this little bit about computer science that I'm just inventing. Might that have something to do with what you're doing in linguistics right now? As Russell Faraday at MIT put it in a study that was later commissioned about this thing, you might regard it as the womb of the Institute. It's tiny. have a presentation spaces that have meeting rooms that are equipped to be the White House, that have meeting rooms that are